to be able to create tokens and NFTs. For the first time, we're introducing the innovative Tokel platform, a fully decentralized, community-driven project with contributors globally. It offers many new powerful features for artists, content creators, and event organizers and token owners. Tokel is building the future of tokenization together with the help of Komodo technologies. Creators and users have the freedom to create, to hold, buy, sell, and trade tokens with ease. Developers have the freedom to build on top of the platform's layer. Tokel has features such as simplified token creation tools, token decks, and Nft Marketplace. The NFT creation process has an extremely low barrier to entry. Businesses and individuals can now benefit from the token economy by using tokens in everyday life. A built-in decentralized exchange enables peer-to-peer trading. Tokel.io, the future of tokenization to NFT and beyond.
Hello, welcome everybody to this Tokel Talk Tuesday. I'm Giuliano. It's the end of November, it's the 30th of November, and I'm here to share with you another Tokel Talk Tuesday. We have very special guests from the Varus community. We have Tango 808, and we also have Nutella Lika from Tokel Platform, as well as Dream Tim here up on the stage. So welcome if you're joining us live, or if you're listening to the recorded version. Thanks so much for being here. We hope this is educational, entertaining, and enjoyable for you. So just going to welcome Tango 808. Hello, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to this discussion.
Excellent. Well, speaking of which, we're going to talk a bit about Varus technologies, the NFT IDs, and some recent campaigns, and the mainnet upgrade recently for the ID Marketplace. And then really the goal here is to talk about the bigger picture, the trend of NFTs in crypto and where we see things going. And so, of course, Nutella Lika is here as well, and Dream Tim. So hello, Nutella Lika.
All right, how are you? Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here as usual, and just for your presence here. It's helpful, and we are going to really enjoy this discussion today. And same thing with Dream Tim. How's it going today, Dream Tim?
Hi, Giuliano. Hi. All good. And you?
Very good. So welcome again. And then, of course, respect to Cax for running the stream and making this all happen for us. And then, of course, to the audience for being here and listening, whether you're live again or recorded. And we're going to get started. We're here to talk about NFTs, about IDs, about Varus IDs. Tango 808. So I'm going to bring you in here, and maybe what you'll do here for us is just describe for us how Varus IDs are like an NFT, and maybe how they're different from other NFTs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those familiar with Varus, and for those that are not, Varus was launched. Original mainnet launch was May of 2018. A lot of different goals in mind that many of the different pieces, of technology have hit, according to what the white paper originally outlaid, as well as a slew of other kind of capabilities. Now, the Varus IDs came about 2 years ago. It was December of 2019, I believe, where the original Varus IDs kind of kicked off into main, with the ability and function to start to really just be a named address. I mean, that's really kind of some of the original incarnations, to instead of having to use long, arduous addresses with letters and characters, somebody could go onto the blockchain and register a completely unique Varus identification or Varus ID. It's completely decentralized, built into the actual blockchain. There's no issuing authority. They could just go on. If the name is available, it would register it. They would pay their appropriate amount of Varus, and the name would be registered under their name, giving them the capability of kind of revocability and recoverability using alternate Varus IDs as well. So, in itself, the Varus ID is an NFT alone, built into the blockchain. Is not interchangeable. It's not fungible like any of the other Varus coins built into the blockchain. So that alone, obviously 2 years ago is the start of where this Verus ID and kind of opening up the ecosystem to other kind of capabilities started. And so in itself, and it is an NFT. Maybe not in the sense of where the NFT world has evolved to, and what a lot of people instantly, when people think NFTs, they think of just kind of maybe a limited scope of some of those capabilities.
I see. Okay, so that's interesting because it's a unique. Um, then it is NFT. It's not fungible. It can't be traded like that. It's different. Each one is different. Yet at the same time, compared to today's NFTs, it has different types of capabilities. It offers something distinct, which we'll go into a little bit more. But did you want to clear up anything around that, Tango 808?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, in itself, I mean, the actual NFT itself can be traded, but it is not fungible one for one to another NFT itself.
Excellent. And I think the part of the reason for wanting to have this discussion today is because of expanding our minds and scope of what NFTs are, what tokens are, in the sense that what can they bring to the world, the physical world as well, the world we live in real life, as well as the metaverse world in that digital world. So, any thoughts so far there, Nutella?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really good point to talk about this idea of like what an NFT actually is. And people think, I think Tango's hit the nail on the head. People think of like this idea of an NFT as like digital art because that's what everyone can understand. And we've kind of talked about it a little bit before, but the NFT is a a blockchain tracked non-fungible token, meaning that there's one of it. It's unique. You can't, there's nothing like it that you can trade one for one. So, on the Tokel blockchain, we have non-fungible and fungible tokens, just like a lot of other blockchains out there. But the difference is that the non-fungible tokens have a supply of one, which means there's only one of them. So in terms of the features available for us, though, they're more or less the same. It's just that you can prove that there is only ever going to be one of them because the supply of that non-fungible token is one. Just like on Verus IDs, there's only ever one of them. Somebody can't come along and take your same name that you've just blocked out because there is only one of that same name. So this concept of NFTs not just being pieces of digital art or proving ownership over it, it's actually the fact that there is only ever one of that, and you are proving ownership over that singular like item. So if we're doing token drops, we'll do token drops, but they're token drops because there is a supply of 10 of them. So 10 people are receiving the same thing. But if you do an NFT drop, then it's like, okay, well, each one of those things has to be unique and individual and non-fungible. So I think that's a really core concept for people to wrap their head around.
True. It does take a few passes. For me, I still struggle to envision and imagine with my creative mind what these things can do. And I guess it helps to understand the technology more intrinsically. So I'm glad that we have you around here to help us. And so maybe this brings us into, because you talked about proving ownership, maybe this brings us into the next segment here where we discuss the recent physical coin campaign with some gold, silver, and bronze coins that were released from Verus community, where these real-world items, actual coins, are bound to an ID as NFTs. Can you shed some light on that for us, Tango 808?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally the campaign was a limited supply of gold, silver, and bronze coins, with the gold coins being a much more limited supply. We are talking about an actual 1 ounce coin with various iconography and symbolism on the coins itself, and it's real 1 ounce gold. On that gold coin, when a individual purchases that gold coin, they actually got to choose a Verus ID that will be associated and kind of linked to that. That Verus ID itself will be laser etched onto the gold coin as it's sent to the individual. So that individual will receive an ounce of gold, and on that will have a Verus ID. That Verus ID on the digital world side will actually have a digital twin of the coin itself in both 2D and 3D form. Uh, Inherent in the data of that Verus ID or that NFT, so that they can actually start to bridge that gap of you know digital and physical world forms as this ideology of the metaverse begins to grow. Additionally, the gold coin itself will have 1000 Varus laser etched on it, and the idea is that the individual that purchases the coin will then put 1000 Varus into that Varus ID and lock it in the vault. And I know we haven't discussed that yet, but that's another feature that actually just rolled out into mainnet just yesterday. It's been in test for quite a while, but it just got kicked off on mainnet, where users will be actually able to lock currencies inside of their Verus ID as a time locked vault. I believe it's one of the only kind of inherent protocol level vaults in existence where completely decentralized. But the idea is that a person will be able to take 1000 Verus, put it into the vault that is associated with that digital coin. So that coin is a Verus self-sovereign coin, showing that specific Verus ID on the coin, 1000 Verus of worth in the digital world, and obviously the real world value of what 1 ounce of gold is worth in the real world. So it's starting to kind of bridge that gap into what we can eventually see in future NFT world of as the metaverse begins to grow, not just in forms of gold coins, but in looks at like real estate and other types of physical property as digital twins in the metaverse world, and really kind of how we can expand that out.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a pretty clear description right there, Tango. And maybe Nutella Lika, would you like to shed some further light on this subject about bridging the physical world? You've talked before about cars as one example, but what comes to your mind? And just shed some light for us further on this topic.
Yeah, I really like the concept. I think it's going to be something in the future that people start to, really interact with blockchain technology, and it's going to be that pathway across, everyday use is this digital, physical, real world crossover. And I really like this idea of, creating something that represents something on the blockchain. They've got the Verus that it's locked up representing it. So I think that's a really cool idea. I guess then a different step to that would be, logging and, showing provenance or proving, the history of something, a physical object, through blockchain technology. So for example, you could have that, the same car example that I use a lot. The car could be created on the blockchain with the specific details and maybe an original picture of the car, such that when you come along to buy that car, you look at the token ID and you're like, oh, why is it a different color? And then the person has to explain why it's a different color. So that real world, physical world crossover, I think there's a lot of good attributes that blockchain can bring, obviously decentralization, but also the provenance of the physical item and proving the history of the item through the blockchain. And another way we can do that is by using oracles. So bringing off-chain data on-chain and attaching it to that NFT. I think my question for Tango would be so you've got that physical coin, how is the process of transferring that physical coin to somebody else? Or like how do people sell that physical coin or that ID to somebody else? Say you had a physical coin and I wanted to buy it. What is the process of actually doing that?
Hold on. That was an excellent question, and that actually front runs
sorry.
No, that's great. That front runs where we're going next. I did want to highlight though, Nutella Lika, that the I think from what I'm getting from what you're saying is like a big part of the value in these solutions comes from that it is decentralized way of doing it with like trustless, permissionless, but at the same time provable and trustworthy. In a decentralized way. I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think that's where a lot of that value, because somebody might think, oh, so what if, I look at a token and it shows that the color is different and then I have to ask them. I could do it some other way and find that out. But the important point is decentralized and it's still, trustworthy, provable, but at the same time, trustless, permissionless, and that sort of thing. Is that Does that clear it up?
Yeah, definitely. So it's about the provability of what's going on. You don't have to trust the person you're buying it off, but there's inherent trust in the car manufacturer to put the right data on there in the first place and that sort of stuff. So it just changes the level of the trust tree basically. But yeah, the provenance is a big one, and transparency on like what's occurred in the past.
So sorry there, Tango 808. I hope I didn't cut off any steam you might have built up there. Maybe Nutella Liquor wants to re-ask the question, but basically, if I'm getting it right, it's like, because this actually ties into the recent mainnet upgrade from about 24 hours ago, really, where it enabled the on-chain ID marketplace for a few different options. And it's quite special, actually. However, I think Nutella Liquor brings in that interesting point of how does the physical item itself as well come into play. So maybe you want to start by bringing up the recent mainnet upgrade specifically to the marketplace. You did mention the vault as well. We're curious about the marketplace for trading the IDs decentralized in a decentralized way. And then maybe you can discuss your thoughts on how trading the physical item as well might come into play in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one last thing I'll just kind of touch on with a very unique and kind of interesting piece of that. At least the gold coin itself. Now, obviously, silver and bronze are still available. Am I allowed to kind of mention the website, or is that?
Yeah, go for it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, so it's on
for a good cause.
verusgear.com, verusgear.com, and the silver and bronze coins are available. Again, those are actual, real, you know, valuable silver and
Precious
bronze,
metal.
precious
Hmm.
metals, exactly. But one interesting thing that really kind of sold me on the gold side of it when I purchased my gold coin is there is the creation of a gold DAO. And so that DAO is everybody, and there was only 25 of the initial run of these gold coins that were sold. And there are subsequent runs that are going to be happening every year. And they, in fact, for this initial run, they decided to make a secondary run as well. But for this first one, 25 people are entered into the gold DAO, and any of the extra additional proceeds from this coin sale actually get put into the DAO as DAO funds. And what's interesting is everybody's Verus ID that is part of this DAO end up being kind of multi-sig authorities on where this money, or I say Verus actually, where the additional Verus can be spent. So if, for instance, down the road, there may be as the PBAS, which is a future blockchain mainnet edition where people will be able to spin off their own public blockchains. If there's something of interest where the Gold DAO may be able to, want to contribute to this, spin up of this future blockchain, or put them in liquidity baskets, or be part of a multitude of different things within the Verus ecosystem. um, they can actually communicate privately with each other through the DAO with private messaging, and then they can actually allocate and make a vote to contribute a certain amount of funds to different things. So it is actually really interesting because that could potentially turn into an increased amount of kind of further Verus coin if they put it into a liquidity basket for some of the transfers when the ETH bridge goes live. That DAO can actually make further Verus coin and kind of contribute to different projects as well. So it is kind of like an elite membership. And I don't want to say that because obviously everybody was had the chance to purchase, and there's going to be future coin runs, and each of those gold coins will be attached to their own DAOs, and those individuals will have a chance to have the ability to kind of contribute and move funds and vote on that with based upon the majority. So it's a really kind of very unique and very interesting piece to just that one aspect, but it does kind of showcase and kind of spark some imagination for some other kind of capabilities. Now, as far as answering the question for transferring of ownership, yesterday as part of that upgrade was the NFT Marketplace. Now, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of more stuff that can be built on this, but the base layer of it all was really kind of what was put into place. 5 new APIs were added in. Being able to make offer, take offer, get offers. You can close offers, and then you can list open offers. And that is all kind of those are the 5 APIs that were added into the protocol, where other businesses or anybody wanting to open up their own front end marketplace, or anybody can build on it. And that's the idea behind it, is that it opens up the possibility. Now you can still do one-to-one transactions. You can see somebody's NFT that you want to get and make an offer on it. They can accept the offer. That can be done either through the desktop wallet, the GUI side of it, or through command line. And really, this is only just a small piece of really where it's going to start increasing in scope. Something that has rarely been talked about is namespaces, and that will be another piece to the NFT that's coming very shortly when the DeFi piece hits. Is the namespace where I could have Tango 808 art, and that will be my namespace, and then I can have a whole slew of different NFTs under that, that I'm trying to sell on the marketplace, and each of them are verifiably and digitally signed under my namespace. And that could help kind of cut down on some of
Hmm.
the and help with the authentication of that, and
Hmm.
cut down on some of that fraud that is happening in the NFT space.
That's interesting, and it's quite exciting to hear about what's to come. And even, I mean, that also just doesn't even take into account what has just come and is already there. And so now, like when you think about real world, I don't imagine specifically these gold coins that you're talking about. I don't think that people are looking to necessarily trade them, but should there come a day that would happen, how do you envision that? How do you see that type of thing working? And even back to Natalica's point about the car, how do you see people using their digital ownership rights and their physical world and trading back and forth these real items, or do you think that it's going to be at least at the beginning is much more so digital materials that are going to be traded back and forth?
Well, I think the easier road to cross, or the easier bridge to cross, really is going to be, the digital form itself. Digital items are already being traded and sold, amongst the crypto community, um, daily. So, I mean, that's going to be the first kind of easier path of resistance. And down the road, we will start to see an expansion of this with, real world items, being implemented into this. Now, if you wanted to, for instance, sell the gold coin, you could sell it in the real world, and then accompanying that, you can actually create an offer privately within the NFT marketplace, where if both sides of this agreement, are they're obviously signatories on that, and then if both sides sign that transaction, that Verus ID, accompanying that gold coin itself, will transfer with it. I think there's been some speculation that the 1,000 Varus that's in the gold in the vault itself, locked away, may end up seeing some future kind of inherent value if the vault has never been opened. Kind of like talking about like an unsealed, a sealed pack of cards, or
Some
kind of.
digital numismatic
Yeah,
quality or
yeah,
whatever. Okay, interesting.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
a mint edition of a rookie card or something. This is obviously the
Now
first.
you're making me think about like yeah, like using like on Tokel platform, you get an NFT, but you never look at it. Nobody ever sees it, and it gets traded. But that's just some random thought. Anyway, you're bringing up some really good points here, and it's quite fascinating to think about the trend of NFTs and like where it's potentially going. And I guess to go further into, because you mentioned in the future eventually leading to physical items, do you see this sort of thing in businesses, supply chain, end users, and even like reselling? So basically how the NFTs or even fixed supply tokens, maybe it doesn't have to be, maybe it can be fungible if they want, but depending on the purpose. And like how does that play a role, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of I mean, we're barely scratching the surface of truly what NFTs are capable of, and really where people will start to apply them to real world capabilities. For supply chain, I mean, you could talk about, you know, it can hold funds, track where things are going, have that multi-sig capability where as things are moving, in a real world supply chain, you can actually have specific coins that may transfer ownership from one address to another, and based upon where a real world object is. You could have the data from that object or whatever that is in the supply chain actually attached as data within the NFT itself. You could have it would help with like dispute resolution functionality amongst different players, whether it's changing hands from a producer of an item to the distributor to the transport company
Mm.
to the retailer itself. I mean, along that line, I mean, you could actually have specific NFTs that are associated with specific objects within that supply chain.
No, you're making an excellent point about dispute resolution as well, something that I wasn't even taking into consideration in that moment. So that's excellent. Natalia, what do you think about that in terms of maybe supply chains or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good solutions out there in the blockchain space for supply chains. I hadn't particularly considered how an NFT would interact with that, but just to go on a little bit of a tangent, I did see one blockchain offering like a physical device that uses an oracle to upload real-time information about the supply chain product to the blockchain, which is pretty cool. So I don't think that's an NFT particularly, but again, I think there's a whole range of things that you can do in the supply chain space. I guess going back to my original question there about the physical, the physical transaction, I think Tango might have mentioned a little bit there, but I guess my solution to the question that I'd proposed is the easiest one is just like you said, is putting up an order on the digital blockchain order book, and then when you get in person and you want to transact that, so you want to hand it over physically to somebody, then that person then fills the order such that you handing it to the person then occurs at the same time that you both press like yep, accept, or fill the bid or whatever it is, such that the digital transaction occurs as the physical transaction occurs. But I think there's a lot of trust required if you're going to be sending that through the mail or something like that, and you're not doing it physically in person transacting. So I think there's a lot of work in the space to really bridge that physical digital transaction occurrence to happen at the same time, and whether that's through like almost an atomic swap like technology where each person has to verify, and then it has to be a trustless system, which like how do you create a trustless system with the mail, because you're trusting that the person's going to pay you when you ship it. So it's a difficult thing, and I guess depending on where in the world you are, they might have different systems, so it has to be targeted. But the easiest way I see is just in person, physically transacting that, or it's a trusted system where you send the funds or fill the bid, get the digital certificate, and then the digital NFT, and then you receive it in the mail because you trust that company or trust that person or whatever.
That's right. I do believe that there is going to be trust that we still need to have with each other in the physical world. And so that makes sense that on some level, whether it's a car or a gold coin or some other thing, you could use a trusted third party to make sure that it goes through smoothly. It all depends on what it is and what you're dealing with. And maybe when I said supply chain, maybe I'm misspeaking, because it could be not so proximal, maybe more distal to that, where the end users are dealing with either fixed supply tokens about their product or something like that, where that makes sense. Like Dream Tim, do you see any use for fixed supply tokens in marketing and for interacting with end user and for end users to interact with themselves for reselling with each other and that sort of thing?
I can answer that question for him if he's
Yeah,
not
sure,
here.
yeah. Mhm.
In the marketing space, I think it's huge. I think NFTs and tokens in general in the marketing space is massive, because you can bridge the the loyalty rewards and and the coupons and all of that stuff, you can bridge that with blockchain technology in a decentralized fashion. Anybody can create their own loyalty system using NFTs. You basically just have to come up with the scheme, like the plan of how you're going to distribute the loyalty points and what people can redeem them for. Yeah, there might be a trusted factor in there still, but if it's completely digital, then there doesn't need to be a trusted system. But in the marketing
Mm-hmm.
space specifically, I think it's all about loyalty of the community, spreading brand awareness through NFTs. We've seen really high profile sporting teams pick up NFTs as a way of community engagement, but also merchandise is the next thing for them. It's like they're making money off this stuff just as they would selling a cap to you or a t-shirt or
Interesting.
something like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. And then, but also I think too that people in general we're using these technologies to enrich ourselves by spreading value around more easily and seamlessly. So I can imagine that we just create value for each other on these blockchains and then spread them around. And that makes a lot of sense too with merchandise ideas there, Natolika, and then reselling. Maybe you want to mention about reselling. Yeah, this is all so fascinating, actually. And you're coming back to this digital realm as well, and so we will go there. But just say what you were going to say now.
Yeah, the reselling is a good one when we look at the ticketing example. So if people, if somebody creates an event and they create 100 tickets, they can sell those 100 tickets, have a royalty on there for say 2% or 3% or whatever they want, 10%, who cares? And then they are not afraid of the resale market because they're going to get a royalty from that resale market. So, that might be a physical event where people have a mobile app where they prove entry or they gain access to that physical event through the digital ticket that they have and the proof of ownership that they have through the NFT or the fungible token or the fixed supply token, whatever terminology you want to use there. But the resale market is such that event creator isn't worried about secondary markets. Actually, it's in the best interest of the event creator for those tickets to resell as many times as possible prior to the event, because they're likely to gain more funds through that resale mechanism. And then also they're more likely to actually get the 100 people rock up to their event, because if the resale market is a good thing, then more people are likely to purchase tickets in the resale market once those initial 100 tickets sell out. So that's how that could work. And definitely there's a huge physical bridge there in the ticketing world, because the event space might be digital, but it also might be physical, where people have to scan in and show proof of ownership over the access token.
Interesting. You're making me now think less, not so much think less of, but I'm shifting away from the physical goods into the services realm as well, I guess, with tickets and then other ways. So that actually makes it very interesting. Yeah, and community related things. And okay, this is really cool. So Tango 808, again, thanks for being here. And we're going to keep going with this conversation. This is incredible stuff. And obviously, feel free to chime in at any time. But I would like to know if you have any thoughts further about this idea of the end users and reselling and basically what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think as with what we saw with the mainnet side of Varus and the NFT marketplace, it really is building that foundation where developers can come in and create their own kind of front end experience. There's going to be future web experiences where people will be able to just obviously, much like a lot of the NFT world out there is web based. It will tie directly back into the blockchain, be completely decentralized, have the ability to have login authentication through your Varus ID itself, get into some type of web marketplace. I mean, I think you're going to start to see this expand even further, which will make the user experience a lot easier to deal with, and kind of just continue to expand capabilities. I think you know as we've talked about, like the ideas are really endless for what a lot of this can do. I mean, even limited supply tokens with just 1,000 individuals for an exclusive membership into a nightclub. And I know that in the past there's been different types of crypto. I know Las Vegas a couple years ago had a crypto club where if you owned so much of a certain token, you could gain access to their VIP lounge. So I think, you'll start to see some of this stuff really expand out further, um, outside of what we know of. I think a lot of people, when they just, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people just hear NFT and they think of, sometimes, the artwork, and that's kind of where it ends for a lot of people. But, as Nutella mentioned, these sports teams that are really starting to, you know, increase, awareness, brand awareness through NFTs, different, actors and actresses and stuff like that. I mean, we could eventually one day see a time where these NFTs are really looking into, you could have a movie that's looking for funding, and you could buy into a limited supply of 1,000 tokens as part of this movie NFT. And you could even have, voting rights. Does the main character die at the end of this movie? Help, kind of choose your own adventure. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of kind of possibilities out there
Yeah,
through
you
this
guys are
kind of
really,
marketplace.
wow. You're really all this conversation is really opening up my mind today, and I hope it's doing the same for everyone else who's listening. Um, this is incredible stuff. It's just expanding on the ideas of what's possible, and seeing just that value in creating and as we create these technologies, like for example, Tokel, Varus, we make it quite easy, relatively speaking, and economically incentivized to do it. It's not it's cheaper. It's not as difficult to do. It's still in progress. Obviously, we're just getting continued mainnet upgrades and things like that for Varus, as well as Tokel is continuing to work on improvements and stuff. So just expanding out the technologies, expanding out the ideas. And you mentioned about like digital rights, and we're gonna definitely talk more about digital rights and contracts and data. But if maybe Nutella, you want to respond a little bit there to what was said, that would be great.
No, I think it's awesome. I think there's so much that can be done, not just with NFTs but tokens in general, and not just with tokens but coins in general, right? Like this idea of changing incentive structures and giving people the ability to crowdfund and all that sort of stuff is not a new concept in the crypto space. That's what the crypto space has been doing for ages. The difference, people can do that with a coin. People can create their own blockchain and say, hey, here's a bunch of coins. I'm going to give them out to people that, give our project funds. Sorry. I'm going to give them out to people that give our project funds, and we're going to generate a bunch of money to create a movie. That could happen. The problem with it was the difficulty to do so, and it being very application specific. So you needed an entire blockchain to, you needed miners, you needed security, you needed a developer to create the blockchain. You needed, longevity of the project to ensure the blockchain's created. You have potential inflation with block rewards. You have all these hurdles to go over, and projects don't necessarily want to do that these days. They want it to be easier. They want to access, what the blockchain offers without actually having to create a blockchain themselves. And I think people are coming around to the same problem with smart contracts. They want these features, and they want to be able to access all this technology, but they don't necessarily want to have to hire a developer to create a smart contract in order to manage, the NFTs or the tokens. And then you have to trust that developer. You have to get the smart contract audited. Whereas, with the likes of what Varus and Tokel are both doing, is that we're offering this easier solution to a bigger problem to give you access to all of these like fundamental use cases for what blockchain and cryptocurrencies are about. So we've recently had the token creation tool community testing, which has been awesome. And some of the feedback is that it's just so easy to create the token, which is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to get to that point where not only is it easy to create the token, but it's easy to buy, it's easy to sell it, it's easy to store it, it's easy to interact with it, which is a huge one, which Tango touched on, which is like being able to log in with a specific NFT, whether it's like, an access to a digital event, you log in with that, or you sign a transaction with that NFT. They're doing it through the naming convention. We're doing it through, just generic NFTs. So like slightly different in the approach and the features that are offered there, but the concept is similar. So it's just making it easier for the end user to interact and projects to interact and use this technology.
Well, and this is showing me too that the future is multi-chain, and I think also the value of being able to connect and bridge together and interoperate is such a huge task, and also
100%.
the direction. I do, this is bringing to my mind JL777, and just like the utmost respect in that sense to what was started with Komodo platform. And of course, before that, I don't want to say anything like that, but just Komodo platform and what it enables to allow the type of technologies to then expand and allow like a blockchain independence with interoperability and interconnectivity to pass the value along that people can use wherever it is that they're going to interact with it. And so,
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to that future as well, where there's even more connections through bridges and stuff. But let's just keep it. Yeah, go on. Yeah, what did you want?
Both Verus and Tokel have come from the Komodo ecosystem, and the technology has come from the Komodo ecosystem. So both projects may or may not be here if it wasn't for the Komodo tech, which is awesome. It's a great ecosystem to be a part of.
Right on, and I agree. And I shouldn't just stop at JL777 because there's so many people who did many things for many years, and so not to name anybody in particular. So, but anyway, definitely respect and thank you to everyone. And, also specifically here, Tokel community, Verus community, is just really exciting times to see all of this happening. I those of you who have even closer view, whether you're testing or interacting on those levels, it must be just such an interesting time for you. Tango 808, what is it like for you at this time? 2021, we're coming near the end of the year. What's on your mind like that?
Well, I mean, I think it is probably my dream ever since, learning about kind of virtual reality and, reading Ready Player One to one day be part of a metaverse.
Hell
And
yeah.
I think we are as close as we can be to living in a world of virtual reality versus the physical reality we live in. Not to say it's a bad reality, but I will, gladly welcome the ability to see where this universe can really expand to. And I think that's an exciting time that I think NFTs, crypto, blockchain itself has a huge piece to this extra layer of the internet that is really kind of it's there. Yes, there's a lot of hype for it right now, and everyone's talking about it, but I'll and a lot of people see and hear metaverse and they're already hating the word, but I'll use the
That's
Thanos
because of
quote.
Facebook.
Yeah, I know. It's but the Thanos quote, dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. I think we're
Yeah.
obviously that it might not be the best quote to use, but that's I'm a big a virtual reality user. I'm excited to see the kind of the future of where the real world starts to mesh into the digital world, and I'm a big tech guy, so I think it's an exciting time for a lot of technology that right now where we are today in crypto and blockchain is if anybody was alive in the 90s that received the America Online discs, that's where we sit in the world of where blockchain is, and kind of really where we can go is tremendous gains throughout with this increased technology.
Fascinating. This is definitely an incredible time. And so we're nearing the end of our talk, but we have a few more topics that we can dive into a bit here. One of them is if you want to get a bit more in depth with how tokens can impact these digital rights, contracts, data, and that sort of sphere. Maybe businesses using tokens and that kind of this technology, like it's all going to come into play. Do you want to share some of your thoughts on that going forward?
Yeah, is that a question for me or Nutella?
Yeah, sorry, I was wondering if I wasn't being specific enough. Yeah, go for it, Tango 808.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the digital rights and ownership, I mean, as with NFTs and being able to have even multi-sig parties involved, and being able to have distributed ownership of things and tying them to digital rights, being able to attach data itself, authentication to prove that you actually own it. Even some of the stuff that Varus is working on. I know Mike Tutangi, the lead developer of Varus, has posted on his own Varus ID, the world's first decentralized, self-sovereign social media profile, and that sits there, completely decentralized with him owning his own data, and that's a huge step forward towards kind of where we are moving to in kind of digital ownership of a lot of different things, and where just even digital rights of movies and art and everything can kind of get attached to NFTs and Varus IDs as ownership of that, kind of creating this like pseudo anonymous economy, where people can conduct like professional lives without real attachment to their personal information as well. I mean, there's a whole world that it's unlocking for people, beyond just it's I, I
Yes.
I am Tango 808, and I will carry that digital ownership, through
Mhm.
different media, whether it's video games or marketplaces. I can take that with me, and if I don't like a certain social media platform, for instance, I could potentially take my entire social media life and move it to somewhere else. And I think a lot of people
Nice.
are waking up to the idea of digital ownership, being completely in charge of your own data again.
Things are moving so fast. Nutella, any thoughts there around the digital rights and contracts and businesses?
Yeah, I think Tango summarized it pretty well. Like it's all about owning your own data, right? I think what people have to consider is what blockchain technology is and what cryptocurrency is and whether it fits the bill for some use cases. I think there's always going to be trusted based systems out there, and they're going to be more efficient, and they're going to offer more protections in different parts of the world. But there's always going to be parts of the world that would benefit from blockchain based technology. So for example, in smaller countries potentially that don't have the infrastructure and the trust in their government, or in bigger countries potentially, I'm maybe getting too political here, but from a digital rights or elections point of view, it's you can trust the underlying blockchain technology if it's open source and it's public and there are protections in place for those people. So I guess coming back, not so much for politics, we'll step out of that, but for going back to what Tango said about the DAO example, the people that receive the coin have automatically are a part of a DAO, and these DAO organizations are really cool. But basically, what it is, it's a community of people that have a voting right on something, on the issue, on the proposal or whatever. So they own that, or they inherit the digital right from the token or the coin that they hold within their wallets, and that's provable and can vote with that on the blockchain. So that that the DAO concept wraps up digital rights, voting, polls, elections, contracts, all of that sort of stuff. So I'm really interested in this DAO concept, and we haven't seen it in the Komodo ecosystem yet. So it's cool to see Varus starting one of those off, which is pretty neat. I've definitely had thoughts in my mind of how we could bring that concept to the Tokel community, because I think there's a lot of benefits to doing so, and it engages people, because not only do they have ownership over the token or the coin, but they also become part of the project or part of the organization, because they're part of that decentralized autonomous organization, and that it's
Yeah.
in their best interest to do best for the DAO as as a total. So yeah,
Right.
that's basically my
Yeah,
thoughts on it.
makes a lot of sense. And you come to maybe our final point here, which is about polls and elections. And in fact, you're making me think now about surveys, and even like a business doing some marketing, again coming back to marketing, and having polls by giving out tokens that people would vote with, and then you could have a wide spread and get a lot of people and people would obviously be wanting to participate, whoever is participating. And I don't know. What do you have any thoughts on that, Tango 808?
Yeah, actually, a big piece of the Verus white paper actually does talk about a lot of voting and polling kind of capabilities, and kind of that um, realization of what the blockchain has, really has the ability to do, to really help reshape, whether it's, polling for government type stuff, or voting type events, or even just individual projects that might need voting, organizations that have large memberships that might not have the ability to have completely auditable voting capabilities. I mean, there's a lot of different things that are being worked on. I know that is a very big passion piece to Mike, the lead developer. I know he's got some stuff cooking, that might not have been publicly released yet, that he's been kind of kicking around. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the future within at least the Verus community. But I think the capability to have, even down the road, a public blockchain that spins off of Verus, where individuals, that is a completely individualized, vote, um, you know, secured by the overall Verus ecosystem itself. And how that's completely executed, I'm not privy to that knowledge on Mike's piece, but I know that is a huge piece that was really hit hard on within the Verus white paper. And it is a very big focus within the Verus community on how kind of having honest, auditable polling and election results.
Amazing. Well, that's definitely something to watch for in the years to come. And I'm really excited to have you on here today, Tango 808. And of course, Nutella Lika, as always, bringing a lot of enlightening ideas forth for me and for others to expand upon. In my mind is just definitely. Wow, I've taken in a lot today and a lot to think about. I really look forward to these next couple weeks, just going over some of these thoughts in my mind, and I really look forward to the next Tokel Talk for sure. Stay tuned for that. But we are winding down. Tango 808, is there anything else that, well, actually, I just want to make sure Nutella Lika didn't want to address any points that we've come across today in our discussion. Anything else you wanted to mention, Nutella Lika?
No, it's all good. Yeah, I appreciate Tango coming on. I think it's good for people to gain an awareness of what's happening in the ecosystem, and Verus is very much in the ecosystem, and the is a Komodo ecosystem based platform as well. So if people want to do a bit more research, then definitely head over and have a look. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great, Tango.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I think in the end, as we all kind of start to collaborate on ideas, we're all going to realize that there's a lot of kind of isolationalism within the crypto space, where people are obviously have maybe it's investment, maybe it's just personal feelings towards certain coins, but I think in the end there is no single crypto technology that is going to enable everything. It's all about having blockchain primitives that you can compose and build more complex systems out of it. And I think collaboration and kind of these discussions and talks really do help the entire ecosystem. I mean, everybody's in these projects for a reason, and we all want to see the overall space expand, the technology expand, and this kind of stuff. These talks really do help the collaboration piece, and so I really do appreciate you having me on here.
Wonderful. We really appreciate you coming on, and for Dream Team and for Cax and for everybody else in the Tokel platform team. Nutella Lika, did you want to leave us off with any specific information. Then we're going to shoot back to Tango 808 one more time before we head out.
I guess I just want to thank the community testers that have been helping us out. I guess it's not talk specific, but yeah, I really want to thank the community testers that have been helping us out with the token creation tool that we're near on releasing. So stand by to hear more information about that. It's gone really well, and they've been an absolute dream, and brought up some really good points. So it should make the end product really quite good. So I appreciate their work, and if anyone's interested in that or becoming a Tokelist, then just have a look on our Discord. There's definitely ways to become part of the community and engage with the community, and we really love seeing that. It's awesome work. So nice job, and again, thanks Tango for joining, and Giuliano, as always, nice stuff. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I always appreciate getting to join these types of discussions. And definitely full respect to all the testers out there, for Verus and for Tokel platform. It does make a big difference. It sounds like Nutella, you're saying it does make a big difference when people come and test. And so really encourage your friends or people maybe if they're not testers, at least encourage them in some form, but definitely if they can follow you in testing, that would be phenomenal. Any thoughts on that, Nutella?
No, I think it's an awesome way to be a part of the project, and really really feel like you're part of the organization and contributing to what you have ownership over, and helping the project increase and succeed and benefit from all that will then in turn help you, because you're holding the coins or the tokens that are associated with those projects. So
and because of the inherent technologies, because I imagine, like Tango said just before, there's a lot of hype and other stuff, and I guess also that some of that division and isolation type of stuff might come from the money aspect of things, and maybe a limited mindset mentality, and not some sort of abundance or whatever. But these everybody who's getting involved obviously cares and is interested on a deeper level, and so that's the special stuff, and that's really where the physical world meets the digital world. Like, we're all here talking, through this digital format, but we're all in our, as I like the word, meat space, I guess. It's and that's cool. So Tango 808, you get to give some final thoughts here. Maybe share website if people want to check more about Verus and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Verus's website is verus.io. From there, you can also get the invite to the Discord server. That really is probably the most active of where the community is. Remember, the biggest thing about Verus is it is a community-driven project. There is no president, no CEO, no business involved. It's fully decentralized, community-driven. So if it is really something that you want to get involved with, learning about more about Verus, jump onto the Discord server, and really just start to learn and see where you can find your niche to contribute if you're interested, whether it's the marketing side. They're always looking for developers that, people that are, well versed in the development side, whether it's on the front end GUI or, back end stuff. There's a whole slew of kind of slots that if people are looking to get active and really kind of help out and contribute, there's always space for everybody. So very welcoming community. Myself, I mean, I'm just a community member, just like everybody else. Just trying to represent the coin itself. I mean, we're in a organic growth. There was no venture capitalist funding. It was fair launch, no ICO, no pre-mine. The whole point of Verus itself was really to try to help the community and hopefully change the world. And if that's something that you're interested in doing, we'd be happy to have you and check us out. Again, it's verus.io, and pop onto the Discord server and say hi.
Excellent. And any final thank you, Tango 808, and Nutella, any final calls to action from Tokel platform?
Yeah, it's all good. I think I've said my piece.
Excellent. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we're really looking forward to the what's to come. We're 1 month before the end of the year here in 2021, and so we're gonna come back with the next Tokel platform, Tokel Talk Tuesday, real soon. Check out for the schedule and announcements. I'm Giuliano. I'm saying goodbye for now. If we don't speak again until 2022, well, then it'll be a happy new year to you. Thanks again, Tango 808. Lovely to be here. Thanks, Nutella. Thank you, Cax. Thank you to Dream Tim and the whole Tokel platform community. Goodbye until next time.